Hey Vibha,
Hello, how are
good
you?
to see you.
So happy to see you. How's it going?
Likewise. Sorry, I think Saloni, there's some problem with the network, so she's unable to connect. So I said
It's
I
okay.
can jump in and just take over.
No gender bias here. We're very happy to have you.
Absolutely.
So thank you for joining. And I've been watching a lot of your shows actually. So it's going to be fun to have you on the other side of the stage.
It always is, yeah.
It always is. Okay, so quick introduction about the FPAI, guys. So a lot of you know, the FPAI is India's premium online social channel for food, drinks, and anything hospitality.
Yeah.
They essentially help aggregate and then disseminate information about food, drinks, hospitality, etc. They're also super innovative. They've also set up their own IP properties by setting up India's first award for bloggers. I think it's called the IFBA Awards. And they've also done a series for home chefs, which is hashtag Home Chef Matters, where they're trying to promote home chefs. So guys, firstly, congratulations on setting up such a successful venture. And thank you for putting together a platform for food lovers and people in the food business. So this is great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Vibha.
So, as we're jump starting this interview, firstly, we all love food, right? Like that's what brings us all together as human beings. So why the business of food? Like what made you think about getting into this space?
So I think both Saloni and me have always loved food, and we've always loved people. We've always read a lot, and we are avid readers. And I think what we did initially was actually started building communities, and that's where we started. We started building. So there were a couple of our friends, foodies, etc. We got in touch, met together, etc. And then we thought, why not get everyone online? And we started like that. And there was a lot of, their friends and their friends and their friends. And we started building communities. So initially, it was a community of only food bloggers. But as of now, how it stands, we have a community of home bakers, home chefs, chefs, restaurateurs, food influencers, just foodies who love food. So different communities we've actually built. And then, we add value to them, we activate them, we work with brands and a whole load of other things.
Okay, great.
And so it's the passion for food, for technology and social media, and for community building. I think that's why we just started it.
Great. So it's food, technology, people, and communities.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll jump into more specifics on each one of those aspects you brought up. But there are a lot of people who, try to build community-based businesses. So from when you started to now, how did, what was the rate at which your communities grew? How big is the community now? And how do you nurture a community?
So we've been in the business now, and initially it wasn't a business, it was just passion. I think only 3.5, 4 years back, it actually, where we started, actively getting involved with things. So the first 3 years was just the passion, did it for fun, made friends, etc., etc. So there was no agenda or intention then. And then we saw that, this is actually good because we are adding a lot of value. We are also getting a lot of value. So it's a give and take relationship always. And that's what we believe in. And, and we said, why not structure it? Why not do it properly? And actually see if it works out for us, where we can actually also monetize. We need to survive, so we can monetize, but by adding a lot of value to people, be it home chefs, home bakers, restaurateurs, whoever it is, add a lot of value, so that we are seen as someone who actually is not only interested in just building communities, etc., but also giving back to those communities. So that's what we do, and that's how it all came about. and that's it.
So, share with me an example or two. How do you really add value? So, when you're saying the words are kind of vague, like how do you add value?
So I'll tell you. For example, I think 2 years back we got into the home chef space. We had a lot of friends who were home chefs. A lot of bloggers actually were also, into the catering from home or cooking for their colony or this and that. And we said, why not do a kind of a conference for home chefs, where they learn to actually scale up their business to the next level. For example, topics like from home kitchen to commercial kitchen. That's a scale up. Things like finances and managing your finances or GST. So everything that would be interest for a home chef to actually either professionalize, scale up, or learn tips and tricks, because a lot of people are not interested or cannot scale up, but at least learn them and connect with the community. So we started doing this the 3rd year or the 4th year of the conference. I mean, not this year. This year we haven't done it. We don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll have an e-conference. But the 3rd or 4th year of the conference, and it's fabulous. We have all the home chefs coming together, sharing things together, and we have panel discussions and we have speakers. So we don't charge the home chefs anything at all. We just invite them. And, if we have place and there are other people who want to come, most welcome. We don't have a problem at all. And it's a full day conference with lunch, with interacting, and you have different kinds of speakers, right from celeb chefs to experts in finance to expert in video, YouTubing your content, Instagram, etc., etc. So that is actually adding value to the home chefs. That's one. We also, for example, share a lot of posts of home chefs on our profile, social media profile, whether Insta stories or whatever. Third is we started something called the FBI Kitchen for home chefs, which is at the Bar Bank, Juhu, which of course now is not, for the time being, is not there, where we actually gave an opportunity to home chefs to rotate every month their cuisine and actually sell it. So, they actually get the experience of actually owning a restaurant, or it's a food truck, but ultimately it's a restaurant, managing your KOTs and everything, and actually selling your food, creating your dishes, pricing, portion control, etc. So that experience you won't get, and we don't charge them anything again. So that is where you call adding value, for example, in the terms of home chefs.
Okay, that's very helpful. So I like the approach. You initially started out simply as a community. You first brought people together.
Yes.
You didn't think about monetization at the outset.
Absolutely.
And even after you're monetizing, you're constantly thinking about ways to add value to your community.
Totally.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's very helpful, because a lot of people jump into building platforms and they immediately want to monetize.
Yes.
I think that's where they really go wrong. So
yes.
I'm glad you're being honest and just sharing that experience up front, that it takes a lot of nurturing.
Yeah, and Vibha, relationships are key. Luckily, both Saloni and myself are people's person. We love building relationships, meeting people, talking to people, and whoever you are, it doesn't matter, I mean, even if there's a person of irrelevance, we still talk to them, meet them. So it doesn't matter. We are people like that. And I think that has actually helped us actually build all of this.
Sure. So obviously those aspects of your personality go into building the community.
Of course, no doubt.
Okay. And what happens next? So you build a community, you start nurturing it, and then obviously you said you needed to sustain it as a business. So where is the business behind all of this?
So business behind, for example, our home chef conference, the first one, we did it just like that. We actually paid out of our pocket a lot of money. We didn't really make money. After that, we've actually not really been making money through this, but we've covered our costs completely. So, for example, Godrej Industries sponsors the home chef conference since the last 3 years. Yeah. So you have all their food brands like Vikroli Cucina, Godrej Yummies, Nature's Basket was there earlier. So all of them actually sponsored. So the cost of the venue, the cost of the food, the cost of the collaterals, and everything is covered. So at least we don't have to spend out of pocket. So we don't really make money out of these conferences because we don't charge, we don't do. But at least now that our costs are completely covered. So we don't have to worry about costs per se. And then you have brands.
These events are you doing in Bombay only? We have a question from Shalini Goenka who says, do you do these outside of Bombay as well?
So Shalini, the last a year and a half back, we did a home bakers conference. Very interesting, because we are connected with home chefs and home bakers, and we believe there's a distinction in both. We did it in Bangalore a year and a half back. If you look at the hashtag on social media, and we always hashtag everything, hashtag home bakers matter, bakers with an S and matter singular, you will actually find photos, comments, posts about the conference. So again, it was similar to Home Chef, so about 100 bakers coming together in Bangalore, again adding value. We had a fun bake-off, like we do a fun cook-off with limited ingredients, where we use ingredients of the brand. That's why they pay us, because that's how you sustain yourself. And, you know, it's a fun thing. It becomes like a family, a big family, and that is the fun of the joy in the entire thing. So we've done in Bangalore, we've done in Pune, we've done in Bombay. We want to and we will venture out. This year we are planning 2 more cities, but now I don't know what the scene is. And we will wait and see. I'm sure an opportunity will arise, whether virtual or physical.
So the events, you said you get these sponsors and they sponsor the events.
Yes, absolutely.
Other ways of monetizing a platform?
So we do, for example, we do social media campaigns. We are quite strong in social media. We do for brands. For example, we do something called the FBI review box, where we actually pay either influencers, bloggers, home chefs, depending on what category the brand wants. So if they actually pay, you know, want, say, to try a recipe, say, with apples, we send it to 8 home chefs or 8 home bakers. We give them a certain fee, a small amount, nominal amount, and they create a recipe and a video for the brand tagging us. So that is another way of monetization. Again, for restaurants, we do you know, a lot of work for restaurants, and again, that is pure monetization for restaurants. You know, so different ways of monetization.
So you managed to build a community that you're able to now successfully monetize as well.
So we are not actually monetizing the community, we are monetizing our brand. So now, for example, if someone wants a post on FBI, we will never use the community members to monetize. We don't do that. Because if we are asking them for something, we always give something in return. But we have built our brand in such a way that if someone asks us for a post, Instagram post, we can charge them X amount, and you know, that's it. So that is pure monetization, just using our brand. If they want a video from us, we charge them. If they want anything from us, we charge them. If they want a tweet from us, we charge them. Because we are present right from Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, we are on TikTok now, we are on LinkedIn, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, so all the social media channels. Because our objective is to monetize the brand and not the people who we build communities with.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I have a question here from Wahida Hurzuk, who says, do you think a food truck culture will work in India?
Vibha, for all practical purposes, if you look at street food, it is like a food truck culture, in my opinion. You have the thelawalas. They have those other kind of carts that they bring in, and not a modern street food kind of cart. And they sell their wares from there. Yes, hygiene is an issue. The menu is limited, etc., etc. But ultimately, that food truck concept of street food has been there in all countries for eons. But when you are talking about typical food truck concept, like the Western has and like India has, it will pick up, but not a very large way, not at all.
Yeah. And on the same vein, I have a question from Sakshi, who says, will the DIY boxes which high-end restaurants have started due to the coronavirus be the next wave in the industry? Do you see any of this picking up?
So Sakshi, honestly, I think that's a brilliant idea that they're doing, DIY boxes. So if I want, say, a cow sweet, and I feel like having it, and a restaurant of my choice, actually, I don't have to go there. Instead of delivering ready-made food, they deliver the ingredients which I can assemble or cook together, like a DIY box. It's brilliant to a point of time that I'll order once, twice, thrice, which is great. It'll be fun cooking with the family or myself. But picking up to a large extent, again, it totally depends on how the future is ahead. You know, whether lockdown continues, whether it eases off, it totally depends on that. So very difficult to say. But in my personal view, no, it won't pick up to that extent. It will pick up now for the time being, but how much we don't know.
Okay, thank you for answering that. Similar question from Abel, who asks, with the growing health concerns due to the pandemic, how will the food and hospitality industry take a hit, and what can they do to recover?
So it's already taken a hit, because big hit. There are once the lockdown is lifted and things ease, you are going to see a multitude of restaurants shut down. Simple. There's no choice. I've been in contact with a lot of people, the associations, the industry, food and beverage and hospitality, hoteliers, etc. And it's a very, very, very tough time. So restaurants will shut down. We don't know which and what, depending on their staying power, depending on how long this continues, and depending on what respite they get from the government. These three things, and also how they negotiate with the landlord. Because when you look at the F&B land, rentals are one huge cost. So depending on all these, 3-4 things, either restaurants will shut or stay. The biggest challenge of restaurants, those who have deeper pockets or sources to stay on, is getting consumers back. Footfalls back in the restaurants is going to be tough. To keep it as it was before, they have to spend more on hygiene, etc. Their covers will come down if social distancing comes into play. So there are going to be a lot of losses for the restaurants. When you look at home delivery, those who started, home delivery contributes between 6 to 12% of any restaurant revenue. So that is marginal. That is not the focus of any restaurant anyway.
You don't see the delivery business now increasing in the situation?
It is increasing. It is increasing, but to a certain extent. I mean, so what is increasing is the home chef business, very interestingly. If I have a home chef in my colony or in the next building who I know personally, I know her, I know she follows hygiene, it's a known person physically,
Sure.
I probably would tend to order from her more than from a restaurant.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're certain that some restaurants are definitely going to shut down.
Definitely.
And the ones that survive, given the rentals, etc., and the business, are still going to face a tough time.
Very tough time. Like Love 15 Kolaba shut down in Bombay.
Yeah.
So
what
I mean,
saying that
I mean, if you look at that, sad. But then you have to justify your means for existence. If you can't, you can't. As simple as that. Ultimately, it's a business.
What do you think restaurateurs can do, though? What advice are you giving your friends in the industry? What are industry people talking about? How are they sort of coming together? Are they lobbying with the government? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, so they are. So I think one big platform is NRAI, the National Restaurants Association of India, and they've actually come together. They are feeding the needy. They have a kind of a program that they actually serving. 5 million meals have been served, etc. I think that's brilliant. That this has actually got restaurateurs together in one, under one head, and they are looking actually at developing something new in terms of loyalty and in terms of delivery, where they are not, and that's what, from whatever I know, I will know probably, but this is probably true, and they don't want to rely on third parties. So if they have complete control over delivery, over loyalty of the consumer, it becomes that much easier to, collate data of existing consumers, add value to them, ensure they come back to the restaurant and more.
Okay. So this looks like it's going to be a tough ride up, huh?
It's going to be a very tough ride.
Very tough ride.
Yeah. Okay. So keeping fingers crossed, that's the only thing we can do. Yeah.
And whatever capacity we as patrons of these restaurants can help, obviously we'd love to help. So do keep us informed through your platform.
Absolutely. So the only way currently at least to help is to go back and visit your local favorite restaurants when they open up. At least go out once. Whenever you're comfortable, it doesn't mean as they open up you need to rush out. Whenever you're comfortable in going out, go visit your favorite restaurant and try it out, and you're actually supporting them there.
So a question from Eldo, who says, the next thing is going to be ready to cook. So that's similar to the DIY package.
Yeah, DIY. Yeah. Eldo, you're right to a large extent. I don't know if it'll be a big thing. I have my skepticism there. I'm not sure. As of now, yes, it could be, but we will know probably a month from now whether it will be the next big thing.
Like, you know, Blue Apron, right?
But yeah, there are a lot of ready-to-cook things already. For example, Tata has Tata Q, which is actually a ready-to-made. You have veg, you have non-veg sauces. The thing is that, sorry, that is more ready-to-eat, not ready-to-cook. I'm sorry. So ready-to-eat is also a market, but the taste there suffers because you need to actually have a larger shelf life. And ready-to-eat, always there's even if you look at the Gates or any other brand, there is that kind of taste you get. So, it doesn't qualify as a proper meal necessarily. And ready to cook, yes, it is big. It is going to grow, whether it's DIY kits or, an upma by MTR. I'm just saying that is also ready to cook. And that is something we anyway use, which maybe we'll be using a more.
But there's just
Poha by
something
someone.
about like going to a restaurant, right? It's not just a cooking experience.
Of course. Restaurant is all about the experience. It's not only the food. It's right from the beginning. You plan at home with the family or your spouse or your kid or even your better half that let's go out for dinner today. That's when the experience starts.
Right.
Then deciding what cuisine, deciding where, getting ready, going out, reaching there. And so it's the entire end-to-end experience coming
and the
back.
reservation phone call, whether the lady was nice or rude, whether she said yes or she said no, we're all sold out, and you're like, I'm never going back to this place. It's all part of it. The appetite builds up from that point.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I have a question from Sakshi who says, what is the difference between a blogger and an influencer in the food space? There seems to be a little confusion with this jargon sometimes. Thanks, Sakshi, for asking this question.
Yeah, so Sakshi, there's a lot of difference actually, and there's a lot of confusion also. Typically, you have something called a blogger. A blogger is a person who actually, so a lot of food influencers call themselves blogger. A lot of food on social media calls themselves a blogger. Who just open Instagram accounts and just post on food. They are actually not bloggers. Bloggers are people who actually use platforms like WordPress and write a blog. That is a blogger. Or they have a website and they write content and they curate content on a website or a blog is a blogger, very clearly. A food influencer can be a food influencer on any social media platform. It could be Instagram, which is now the rage. Twitter was a couple of years back. It could be Snapchat. If I'm posting only on Snapchat, only about food, I am a food influencer in the Snapchat space. If I'm posting only on Instagram, and nowadays everyone's on Instagram. And that's why we are doing this chat on Instagram. So that is why food influencers call themselves bloggers also. And it's accepted by PR agencies, brands. Okay, a blogger, hey, look at his account, is this. But they may not have a URL, which is a website or a blog that they write in regularly. So if you look at the traditional sense, Sakshi, blogger is someone who has a website or a blog. Influencer doesn't need to have that and can be on any social media. There are some influencers who are word of mouth influencers. So for example, they may not really post, but their power and their influence in the food industry is so much that their word of mouth is good enough.
Okay, I think she's happy with the answer.
One more thing, a lot of the influencers are called also micro bloggers because you're looking at social media. So you can term them as micro bloggers because they're actually blogging on the micro sites, but that's it.
Okay. So a blogger is also an influencer because through their blog posts, they're
absolutely 100%. An influencer need not be a blogger at all.
Influencers is a wider term for anyone who's influencing. Okay.
Totally.
A comment from Travel Food Insta saying Instagram is the only criteria these days for most PR. It's unfortunate. Do you think so too, Samir?
Yeah, very unfortunate. I don't know if they're fortunate or unfortunate, but see, it's an industry norm now and everyone's following it. Whether PR or brands. For example, it's an industry norm to buy followers. Okay, that's a very touchy topic, but I address it freely. To me, it doesn't make
Sure.
a difference. There are people who, and even brands buy followers. So if you look at a multinational brand, they have not got 5, 10, 20 million followers overnight, or even
Sure.
by worthy of being a brand. At some point or the other, all brands buy followers. That is a fact. Okay.
Yeah.
People may say no, yes, whatever. That is my fact, and that's what I know.
Sure.
So from the brands buying followers, now when you look at social media influencers, it is a norm that social media influencers who want to reach a certain amount of influence actually buy followers. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. There's a difference between followers organically, and there's a difference between bot followers and those kind of profiles. That is it. Whether a brand wants this or that or doesn't care what, as long as the numbers are there, is a different story. But
Sure.
that is how the reality is. That's it.
Sure. Okay. But that, I mean, it's also, it's a function of the world we live in, right? Because the PR firms will also reach out to followers, and we do it as consumers. We will follow someone who has 2 million followers. It's a perpetuated cycle, and we are all
Of
part
course.
of it, you know.
I mean, I've been approached by people saying that you will get followers. We've never bought followers, but I've been approached. So I know the industry. So I know how it works and what kind of followers and what is the kind of cost you pay, and what you can pay to get X number of followers, how many are bots, how many are organic. How Instagram works is, if you have 50, as you said rightly, if you have 50,000 followers, automatically, if I see a profile, I will follow you.
Sure.
Whether those followers are real or no doesn't make a difference.
Right.
So
exactly.
it just works in that fashion, and that is how the industry works, and you have to deal with it and work with it. Sorry.
Yeah, I think even the social media companies have obviously realized that, and therefore this whole business of buying and selling is perpetuated by them.
Yes. And Vibha,
Okay,
some brands are okay. Some brands are absolutely okay if people have bought followers. So it's fine. It works for those brands. I mean, who are we to say yes or no, or why are you taking this one? If that works for your brand, great. Good for you. If it doesn't work for your brand, great. As simple as that.
And probably for some mass brands, buying followers might even help, right?
Of course. Of course.
If your product is a mass product.
If you look at TikTok as a profile, TikTok is being done by everyone and anyone. Okay. The kind of profile, at least in India, of TikTok, if you have chosen to follow people from India, initially I was aghast by the kind of profile. Okay. Personally. That is a very personal opinion. But over time, I've realized that there are brands which are mass, which you need to reach the masses. For example, if I were Tata Salt.
You're selling soap or Nirma,
soap,
Tata
salt, any category. I mean, rice, dal. If you want to reach the masses, TikTok is the way to go. Oil, cooking oil. And so that's why we started on TikTok in a hope. And our content on TikTok is very different. You cannot have the Instagram content on TikTok. It has to have either funny or, Hindi music in the background. There are a lot of other things that come into play. But brands are increasingly looking at TikTok slowly and surely as putting a part of their social media budget, maybe 0.5%, maybe less, but towards TikTok to test it out. They don't know also, it's new for everyone. They don't know how it's going to work, but they want to test it out. And they will spend on it for sure. And why not? It's a new platform. Irrespective, TikTok is from China. We all know that. So is Zoom. I mean, still everyone's using it. Whatever you say. But that's how it is. So, it's that. And also, see, in our country, if you look at it, our population is not very, very educated.
Sure.
Okay, compared to a lot of other countries. TikTok is a way to actually express themselves.
Yeah, so we have a comment here from Travel Food Insta who says exactly that. People can't read and write, but they can talk and listen.
Yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
where video content really kicks in.
Yeah, video
That's
memes, video content, funny content, humorous,
yeah,
stupid, that works brilliantly. So that's why for TikTok, India is a huge market.
right.
Very, very big, probably the largest, I think, for them. And it works. Why not?
So, when in this business of food, and as customers, we're all probably guilty of doing this, but we'll go post a negative review. If the waiter just gave me hot water instead of cold, I'll make a big fuss about it, and then I'll say I'm going to go post on social media, and we'll go post, and and since you're managing such a large platform, I'm sure there are bloggers and influencers who might say something negative
Of
about
course.
a brand or a restaurant, right?
Of
Now,
course.
when you post something negative, how much do you think about what is going to happen to the restaurant, and was this one isolated incident, or was this
Yeah.
sort of,
Yeah.
how do you judge this? It's like small sensitive issues, but they have massive repercussions.
They have massive repercussions. So two things that have massive repercussion. One is plagiarism, or however which is huge in the food industry and with influencers. So that there is no respite from. You
How
have to
is that
just take a
plagiarism in the food industry?
no. In the social media space of the food industry. So I
Okay.
may copy your post, a brand may copy the pictures, put different content, hide half the pictures. And a lot of people actually approach us saying this is happening. In fact, 2 days back, it happened again. And we take it upon us to try and be the mediator and intervene with the people to end it off amicably. So
Sure.
the person pulls their post down, apologizes, and that's it.
Okay.
So that's what we can do, but there are no laws really again for it. So that is one problem. The other problem is negative reviews of restaurants. When you look at that, primarily the most reviewed platform currently is Zomato. Okay, so Zomato is where people go and write reviews. If you want to look at restaurant reviews, you need to go to Zomato.
Sure,
Because
absolutely.
any other platform, I mean, you have travel this and that. Make what's it called?
But Zomato is sort of
TripAdvisor.
like we all go to Zomato and check the reviews.
TripAdvisor is there and this and
Yeah.
that, but Zomato is big.
Yeah.
Okay, and restaurants get very offended because there's a rank system and rating system. So if there's a negative review, the rating actually comes down. And even a lot of people on Zomato know this, So it's a very dicey, as you said, very dicey situation.
They're using
Because
it as
some
a weapon.
intentionally do it, some don't. Some do it as an honest review. Restaurateurs get pissed, and there are all sort of things happening there. And I believe
sometimes you see competitors, going and putting
Yeah.
negative, like it's dirty business.
I mean, I can tomorrow hire 100 people to do negative reviews and put a restaurant down. It's as simple. I pay them 500 each.
Exactly.
They'll pull a restaurant down. Their ratings will go like that. So anyone can do that.
Yeah.
Zomato says they have checks and balances in place, which they do. But I'm sure it still can. Lots of things can be done. No technology is of anyone is foolproof. Yeah. But my thing is, my personal opinion is, if you are a responsible person, you need to take it as your responsibility that not to trash a place, because there's a lot of hard work that goes, into building a place. I've read some reviews which is where people are rude, this, and those are done so you have to actually judge it in your own way. Very difficult to have blanket rules and regulations, or this is right, this is wrong. It's a very thing that you judge in your own way and you figure things out. So it's
it's a dicey one, huh?
Yeah. So it's a touchy subject for a lot of people, but that's the truth. Yeah.
I have a comment from Travel Food Insta who says negative feedback is good if it's constructive and if it's fair.
Yeah, so negative feedback should be constructive criticism.
Sure.
For example, if you say the dish was cold and horrible, you can always say that the dish was not served at the right temperature and it could have been warmer to enhance the flavors and the taste. So that is an example of constructive criticism. way of being
and
honest.
topping it up by saying that, whereas the other dish was served okay, or like the server
absolutely.
was very, something like sort of
So
balancing.
that is a pure example of constructive criticism.
I think the customers are just not sensitive enough, right? They're not sensitive to what goes on behind the scenes in a restaurant.
No, so one is the customer, but Vibha, there are also some restaurateurs who don't care. So it's a mix of both. It's not, you cannot only blame the consumers. So I have seen restaurateurs who don't give a shit. Waiters are not trained. Servers are not trained, and you're getting the bad end of the stick. So it works both ways. So it's very it does, no doubt.
Okay, great. Yeah, good point. Thank you for clarifying. I have a question here from Nishreen, who says, with Bombay having such a big street food culture, what do you think is going to happen? What's going to happen to our bhelwalas and the vada pav walas?
That is what even I'm worried about. That is something I'm very sad about. If that, I don't know. So,
does anyone have any ideas, guys? Yes, if you guys have any ideas, post some ideas for us here on the chat, because I mean, honestly, we don't know, and I obviously don't see any of them around, and I don't have their phone numbers, because it wasn't a delivery.
So if it's going to be if it's going to be a hygiene issue, which it will be, like how Juhu Beach had only thela walas, and they actually converted it into like a food court properly, etc. That is probably the only way to go for street food, to have a street food court. And, all the vada pav, the Bombay sandwich, the pav bhaji, the this and the bhajiyas, and so many things, we will miss. It's unbelievable.
Okay, so no idea, huh? What's going to happen?
No idea at all. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
We're all keeping our fingers crossed. What's your take on veganism? Veganism is growing in Europe. It's all over. And, what's your take on this as a trend? And outside of veganism, what's sort of another trend or two that you are sort of seeing emerging in the food space?
So there are a lot of advocates of veganism in India now. I've spoken to at least 3 of them in the past 40 chats that I've done. And it is more of an urban phenomena, in my view, veganism. It is not penetrating to the grassroots levels in India at all. Even urban phenomena, it is probably 5 to 7% of the urbans who actually look into it. It will take very small number. So it is a very small growth. It will grow. It will take time. It will grow marginally. There won't be a boom suddenly, but it will grow. I mean, like any other. And
you don't see this as like you don't see veganism as a I just have some comments on the food space on the hawkers. I have a comment here from Shilpa who says there might be specified hawking zones for vendors with hygiene certificates. That's
absolute
possible. Pratap Anjali says need BMC to license vendors and assign spaces. Yes,
agreed. Like they did on Juhu Beach, Anjali. They actually license them properly, assign spaces, and now you can go and eat, and it's a much cleaner environment with more hygiene. So similar to that, they should do at all the cow gullies, like they call it in Amchi, Mumbai. So the cow gullies, they can actually do that.
They could be suggested to wear gloves. Yes, of course, they could wear gloves. Sudeep Majumdar says, I think it's a temporary phenomenon. He's dismissing all this. He's saying people will go back.
Super. I love it.
Sudeep. Let's hope. Sudeep, I'm with you, but I think all the measures everyone's suggesting are sort of the interim measures, and I think they're great ideas. Before we get into the trends for the future, question again from Sakshi Jivrajka. I think she seems to be enjoying all your advice. What advice would you give to all the new home chefs that are springing up during lockdown, quarantine cooking? It's a new trend, of course. Thank you, Sakshi Jivrajka. Great question.
Yeah, so Sakshi, I think the world is cooking up a storm, and whether even not home chefs are actually getting into the kitchen and experimenting. And I think it's brilliant. I mean, you open social media and it's like a cooking channel. Anything you open, right? From Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I always feel that. But if you are actually seriously looking at taking your skills as a home chef to the next level, and you've experimented it during the lockdown, the idea is to hone your skills for sure. we can get you in touch with other home chefs who've actually gone from A to B and or probably A to Z, and you can learn a lot from them. We also have a couple of groups which Saloni runs. So one is called the Indian Culinary, where there are all home chefs, where we meet for a potluck every month, cooking Indian cuisine, Indian regional cuisine, and there are over 100 people on that group. And then there's a group called Wild Asparagus Table, which is international cuisine, and we've got the Bakers Club of India, which is only baking.
Okay, so you're saying they can. Sakshi, you should definitely follow at the FPAI.
Yeah, and just DM us, and Saloni or me can help you out. Don't worry.
And Shalini Goenka says there's not only adults, even kids are becoming master chefs in this.
Yes. In fact, Shalini, we just did a workshop by one of the chefs we work with, Vidita Kamath, today this afternoon on Zoom in the morning at 11:30 with Podar International School. It was an initiative of FBAI where we had about 18 chefs, actually, young chefs, some with their parents, some not, actually attending the Zoom class. And she made a paneer taco out of roti at home, so using home ingredients. And yes, kids are cooking a song too.
That's a great idea. We still have some comments coming up on the food vendors. I think people are really affected. Raki says the cart vendors could leave their phone numbers on their boards and then organize deliveries. Okay, thank you, Raki. Travel Food Insta says street food vendors also need an association like the NRAI. That's a good idea. There is no association.
Yes.
And it also says that street food vendors are also working on delivery. Absolutely, they're working on delivery.
Yeah, that's a great idea. They should, yes.
Yes, kids are becoming more aware and more conscious. Any kids angle, Sam, on your platform?
No, so I think kids is, so we've got FBI Kids. We've got that as a sub-brand. We haven't really focused on it. Okay. We've had no time because we've got FBI Lifestyles, FBI Drinks, and a lot more. But we are looking at focusing it now on it now, and let's see how that goes.
You've got a lot on your plate.
It's a huge opportunity. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, some trends. What trends are you seeing? Emerging trends.
So I think DIY kits or cook your own meal at home kind of kits will be a trend. Now I don't know whether it will be only a trend. Trends normally are there for a while and go away. That's the meaning of trend. So I don't know whether it'll just be a trend or it'll be here to stay. So I think that is big. But then there are a lot of other things, but I don't want to comment anything now because as of now, we don't know anything, Vibha.
Right.
Honestly. So it's unfair to, talk about trends when we don't know where we are, all of us are heading itself. So I just hope that doesn't become a trend. Huh?
Okay. It's just an uncertain time, right? It's just difficult. Yeah, food that change. Okay, yeah. So Sam,
Sakshi, that's true. I agree on that point. That's a good idea. Food that changes.
Let's ask Sam what are the 3 foods that change his mood. Sam, what are the 3 foods?
So one is avocado for sure, though it's done to death, but I love that.
But still loved.
But still love it. The second is artichokes. I love artichokes.
You like artichokes?
Yeah. So that's, I'm talking about ingredient based. So for example,
change your mood. You like them that much?
Yeah. Star fruit. Another thing. Yeah, I can go on having that. I love it. And then there are more. There are mushrooms. There are olives. There are leeks. There are a lot more of the thing. I personally, love a couple of regional, things and a couple of international things. Both, a mix of both. Okay. Kamrak is star fruit.
Kamrak, yes.
Kamrak, yeah. I love it.
Kamrak, artichokes, and avocados. Okay.
And prawns, and it can go on. Don't
the list goes on. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when you look at cooked food, dim sum, sushi are things I love Asian. So dim sum and sushi are my kind of comfort food. Not at home. Home is dal chawal. But otherwise, dim sum, when I go out, dim sum, sushi and Asian, bows, salads. Just, that's it.
Okay. I'm going to just ask you the last question as we sign off here.
Yeah.
So, since this is a career-related show for people who want to be in this career, what advice would you give to someone who wants to follow in your footsteps and become a food influencer?
Okay, so there are a couple of things. So I don't know if we rightly call the food influencer. We are more of a platform, and we actually help food influencers and bloggers and home chefs, etc. But irrespective of whatever you're
You're the
doing
master
in the
influencer.
yeah, what whatever you're doing in the food space, do it with all sincerity, for sure. Focus, have an agenda, have two agendas. One is short term, one is long term. Short term, the vision can go on changing, but a long term goal, keep it steadfast. So my goal is to become, say, a professional chef. I'm just saying, in a 5-star kitchen. How to achieve it can go on changing, but that is my ultimate goal. Ultimate goals also can go on changing, but that changes very once in a while. But keep at it. Persistence is the key. Persistence, sustenance, and frequency of what you're doing. Go on doing it. You will not get results immediately, but ultimately you will. There's no question. And if you believe in it and it's coming from within, you're a winner.
Okay, so you're saying passion at the core of everything,
Yes.
repetition, practice, and perseverance.
Yes, totally.
Okay, that's very helpful. You have an invitation from Shalini Goenka who says, "Star fruits
Hey,
and..."
Shalini, that's so cool. Thank you so much. After where is your garden?
She mentioned earlier she's from Bangalore.
Oh my
So
God.
whenever you do your next baker,
Yeah,
she'll be
whenever
there
I
for
visit,
home chef.
I'll connect Shalini. I think, I love also gardening. So I love seeing how things are grown, harvesting it.
Oh.
It's just fun.
Okay, great. This
Yeah.
was very helpful, Sam. Thank you so much. And we
Thank
learned a
you,
lot
Vibha.
about the business behind food. So really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in person and sharing a drink with you soon, Sam.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vibha, and thank you guys for joining.